Hi again, everybody, and welcome to episode 9. Can you believe it? Episode 9 of Let's Twist Again. It is a monthly live stream and podcast in long form about a short-lived pro indoor soccer team from the 90s, the Indianapolis, later Indiana Twisters. They played 2 years in the Continental Indoor Soccer League in 1996 and 1997. My name is Ken Tomash. I was the team's radio announcer and the media relations guy. And every month on this show, we connect with someone who lived through those 2 very interesting seasons to get their recollections and see what they've been up to for the last 30 years or so. We will take your questions live. We already have some folks watching. We really appreciate you joining. Between now and the top of the hour, if you've got questions, if you want to give a shout out, if you got anything you want to ask, wherever you are, if you're watching on Facebook, if you're watching on YouTube, listening on Mixcloud, put comments in or send us an email at twisters@ken.com. You can also follow our new Instagram account. That is at Let's Twist Again Pod. A little bit of business to take care of before we get started. We're working hard on the 30-year reunion this fall in Las Vegas. An email went out recently to every player and staffer that I have an email address for. If you didn't get it, let me know at the address you see there on your screen, twisters@ken.com. It's going to be a great time. Several folks have already said they're in. So if you played, if you worked for the team, if you, in any capacity, doesn't matter what you did, or if you were just a fan, you're even welcome to come. But you got to speak up. We got to know because we got to make plans. That'll be this fall, a date to be determined in the live entertainment capital of the world, Las Vegas, Nevada. Why Las Vegas? It was Matt Blackburn's idea. You can ask him. So if our guest tonight can't make the reunion, it is because he is on call. He was an original Indianapolis Twister. He was one of the youngest players on the team, and he was still just 23 when he walked away from a pro soccer career for a much more important calling. He is Beronie Richardson, and he joins us now. Dr. Beronie Richardson, forgive me. He joins us now from Los Angeles. Beronie, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Are you in on the reunion?
I am, absolutely.
Sounds great.
Not too far from where I am. So
I know, right? You and George too. We had George Crawford on the show. He said Beronie lives around here. It's like,
yeah.
Get with Beronie. You guys can carpool. Now, so we'll get right into it. You grew up in Connecticut, which has long been a soccer hotbed in the eastern United States. So do you remember when you first started playing?
Yeah, absolutely. I started when I was 6 years old in the first grade. I begged my parents to sign me up. The logistical problem was I was in a program called Project Concern in Hartford, Connecticut, and I went to school in Glastonbury, Connecticut. So that's where the league was and where I wanted to play. So fortunately, my parents said, okay, they would drive me out for, games on the weekends. I'd stay late out there during the week and practice. But they put in that initial spark to get me going. So
players can't be successful without parents and family, and you were blessed to have a great ones here. Here's a family photo from back then, young Beronie and your parents and younger brother Rondell, who is also in the medical field. Now tell us about them and what your childhood was like.
Yeah. So my brother, he's a orthotist and a prosthetist.
So be careful with that word because
I can't say those big words. So he's down in Charlotte, and my parents as well are down there retired. He has a great practice going on. His wife is a social worker, has a practice down in Charlotte as well. So they're all doing well. So his 2 sons are also doing absolutely awesome. One in New York City and one is about to graduate from college.
That's great. So you had that support, and you mentioned started kicking the ball at 6. When did you realize that this was the sport for you as opposed to anything else you could have done sports-wise?
Probably when I was around 14 or so. I really started to see that, I love the game. I started to get better. I started to develop. I had really long legs. And, so just getting used to my body at that time and really starting to get exposed. I had great coaches. That was the other thing. So I played for one of the best club teams in the world, in my opinion. It was Oakwood Soccer Club with Dave Farrell, Rick Dorella.
I know Rick Durella. Rick
No, Rick,
Durella
yeah.
who managed the indoor team there. He's going to be on my, or he helped me out with a story for my sister channel about the Hellions, who were,
Yeah, oh,
he
yeah.
ran the indoor facility
Yeah.
where the Hellions
Yep. Where they used to
practiced, and he
practice,
ran
yeah.
that facility for like 30 years until he
Yeah.
just retired. Rick Durella is a great guy.
Yeah, yeah. So that's how I got started with indoor with them. Used to go to Hellions games, used to try to catch the balls whenever they scored. So I've been around indoor soccer for a long time. Won 2 national championships with Oakwood, with Dave Farrell. So yeah.
Now, here is a photo of your Windsor High School Warriors team. You
Yes.
guys went 15-1-1 your junior year, 9-6-2 your senior year. High school soccer in Connecticut was pretty strong then, as we'll see in a bit. What was the playing environment like then?
No, it was great. You know, the great thing about it is that a lot of the guys from Oakwood were at different high schools. So whenever we played them, it was a battle. It was great. It was competitive. We wanted to beat each other just like we did in practices. So it was a great atmosphere back then. There was a lot of good players came out of there. We had some great ones at Windsor High as well. So
That's you in the very front row holding
yep,
the ball
I'm
as
holding
well.
the
Anybody
ball
else
there.
on this team we might recognize?
This one is from my senior year. No one that I don't think you would know. Yeah, I mean, I know a lot of those guys,
Right,
but
right. But the environment was really good. And at this point, you're a midfielder, right? What was your game? What was your strength as a high school player?
I think y- I think I wasn't the fastest or the strongest, but I really just tried to model my game after being smart, doing things the right way, really trying to think ahead of the play. Um, and I think that was my biggest strength, just being able to outthink the other players and other teams. And then, yeah, just loving the game, just wanting to play all the time. We played all day, all night, whenever we could. So.
Being smart will come. It's a theme that will come back to several times in this broadcast. Now, here is the Connecticut All-State team for 1990, your senior year. Several of these guys played college soccer,
Yeah.
yourself included. Alex Deegan there, the goalkeeper in the front
Uh-huh.
row next to you, was a star at Davidson College, big time.
Uh-huh.
He's a member of their Hall of Fame. He played in the A-League with Richmond and Raleigh, and he was briefly with DC United. 2 guys in the back row at the right are Nelson Lopez from Danbury, who was the Gatorade Player of the Year in Connecticut, and Eric Barbieri from
Yep.
Glastonbury. They both went on to play for the Connecticut Wolves of the
Yeah.
A-League. Barbieri played indoor in St. Louis as well.
Yep.
Today, probably at least a couple of those guys would have bypassed high school soccer, because these nowadays coaches tell you, if you're going to be a player of note, maybe you should bypass high school soccer. Maybe somebody would have tried to turn pro. That was not a thing in 1990 at all.
Right, right.
But how did high school soccer help you?
No, it was great. You know, those 2 guys, or not Alex, Nelson and Eric were on my Oakwood team. So that's how strong we were. And there's a whole bunch of other guys on that team that aren't there. They just played in a different level. So we were in class double L, then there was L, M, S down the line. So but like I said, that competitiveness between the different schools from the kids on our team, on our club team, was just amazing. I think that just made us always want to be better, work harder, try to beat the other guy. That was the key.
So as an all-state player, as a senior, what options did you have, and what were you looking at as your potential next step?
Yeah, so I had a couple offers. One obviously to Notre Dame, and also to UPenn. I had a couple other smaller schools that I was looking at, or looking at me as well. But I was all set to go to UPenn. So I had my dorm room picked out and everything. So I was ready to go. And
Safety school.
right. So, and then I got a call. Dave and Rick knew Coach Berticelli from Notre Dame, said that he invited me to come out. And at first I was like, no, just because we had a game that weekend. I didn't want to miss my high school game.
Right.
And my dad and my mom were like, no, just go take a look. I was like, I'm not going to Indiana, but I'll go. So went out there. And it was the weekend of the Miami Notre Dame game.
Oh, dude, that's
So
fair. Berticelli got you on that one.
Oh my goodness. And it was a great game. The Rocket ran it back for the last minute touchdown to win. It was parties everywhere. It was just awesome atmosphere. So I was like, okay, I'm coming here.
Wow. Yeah, if you go to, the campus in South Bend in the fall, especially on a football Saturday, that is a
Yeah.
recruiting advantage in a big way. So let's talk about, Mike Berticelli,
Mhm.
who obviously ended up, dying way too young.
Yeah, yeah,
Must have been recruiting you at least a little bit, but what was it
yeah.
like to play with him? I know if you ever saw him speak, I mean, he was very inspirational. He was the type of guy you just gravitated to, a great gravitas. What was he like to play for?
Yeah, yeah. No, it was a lot. It was a lot of fun. We had a bunch of freshmen coming in my year. I think there were like 16 or 17 of us. So we were his first recruiting class. So everything was kind of new for him, for us, just going to college. But it was great, man. We had a great team. We had some great older guys who really helped us out as well on the team. Kevin Pendergast. We
Mhm.
had bunch of guys, man, that were just awesome. But coach, yeah, he was very inspirational. His speeches, pregame, halftime, postgame speeches were some of the best. So great guy, great family, great guy.
Now, Notre Dame had been a very good program in the '80s. In 1990, Mike's first year struggled a little bit, but your class ended up winning 2 conference championships, making the NCAA tournament twice. So how was your adjustment to a place you said, "No, I'm not gonna go to Indiana," leaving home, playing at a higher level, and going to a demanding school like Notre Dame, which was something you were gonna do anyway. You were gonna go to Penn, is obviously a good school.
Yeah, yeah. No, no, it was. I think it was a tough transition. But we had 4 guys in my class that were from Oakwood, and then Kevin Pendergast was the older guy. So I kind of knew some of the guys going in, and then just getting to know the guys on the team as we practiced and played was great. We just had great support, camaraderie within the team. There's my guy Gene Joseph. That was against IU, against Georgia's team. I don't know if he remembers that night. But I think that was the only time we ever beat IU.
Yeah, struggled. A lot of people struggled to beat Indiana at that
Yeah,
point. Now you worked your way into a starter as a sophomore, and then you broke your leg and missed the rest of the season. What did you learn from that experience?
yeah. No, I was a starter. I was a starter freshman year too.
Oh,
So
yeah,
I
right,
started
okay.
freshman. Yep, freshman year, sophomore year. Yeah, I broke my leg against Evansville, down in Evansville. So that was tough.
Was Blackburn on that team?
I think he was. I
No.
think he was there.
He didn't do you, though. He didn't break your leg,
No,
though, right?
no, it was some
Okay,
other
good.
big guy. I don't know. Some big fullback they had. Well, he was real apologetic. He didn't mean to. It was just a freak play. He dribbled the ball too far in front of him, and I came off of my man to go get it, and I slid with my left leg, and then I was coming over the top with my right leg, and he jumped up and just came down and just sort of timed it. Just was timed perfectly.
Not for
But
you,
yeah,
it wasn't perfect.
that was tough. That was a tough game, but I'll tell you this, like I was just a support at Notre Dame, the support at home. Came home during that or winter break. I usually worked at Oakwood, our indoor soccer facility, working in the pro shop and stuff. So I was there with the cast and the crutches, and just hearing from like my coaches, Dave, Rick, and a couple other coaches, is really telling me to keep my mind in the game and focus on looking at tape and really trying to stay in it really helped. So my first game back, my junior year, the first game I started was against Evansville at home, and I ended up scoring the winning goal that game.
There
So
you
that was
go.
like a storybook ending right there. Yeah.
You are watching and listening to Let's Twist Again, our monthly live stream and podcast about the Indiana Twisters pro soccer team of the late 1990s. My name is Ken Tomash. Our guest is Beronie Richardson, and an original Twisters. I want to welcome all of you who are watching, and those of you who have taken a second to chime in. Sandy Forte says, "Hi, Dr.
Yeah, yeah,
Richardson."
Sandy.
And here is our first question of the evening. Did you have a routine before each game? I know a lot of players can be superstitious, or they just, borderline OCD sometimes, but did you have a routine before each game?
Yeah, hey, cousin Joe. So yeah, I did. I think my biggest thing was, we had our pregame meal, but at the time, we had the Walkman and the headphones, and I would just listen to, at the time, hip hop, big into hip hop. So anything hip hop that was upbeat, that's what I would listen to. I would also meditate. So meditation was big, as well. So just really visualizing what to expect or what not to expect, or how I wanted to play in the game. Just trying to be positive and visualize the pretty much the whole game, and hopefully
Mental
come out
aspect
with
of the
something.
game, as we talked about.
Yeah,
Jervis Nelson chimes in as well. Good dude representing Windsor. Congratulations on all your
sure
success.
it
Yep.
is.
Remember, you've got until the top of the hour to chime in with your questions or comments or whatever, or as we're talking to Beronie Richardson. So, but before you became a Twister, you took a detour through Detroit. Tell me
Mhm.
how, after your senior year at Notre Dame, you wound up with a Continental Indoor Soccer League team called the Detroit Neon.
Yeah, so I went to a open tryout in Detroit, and the coach at the time was Andy Chapman, and he liked what I was doing, so which was great. And I was used to the indoor game. Like I said, I've been playing it since I was little, so it just happened to be a great fit. They invited me to stay on the team, so played in a few games, learned a lot from those guys. Drago, Chapman, bunch of guys. Terry Rowe was there.
We'll
So
get to
yeah,
that in a second. Here you are in the Neon's 1995 media guide, top right. That was not a good team, though. Got off to a bad start. Coach Chris Keeney, an Indiana guy, got fired.
yeah,
It was
yeah.
just a mess. What was you started to tell us, but what are your recollections of that? It was a learning experience, so that was good, but
Mhm.
it must have been slightly uncomfortable because it was a really bad start.
Yeah, yeah. I think, learning about just being a professional at that time, being young and being my first time in that type of environment. Uh it was tough. It was disappointing. You used to winning, you want to win all the time.
Mhm.
And then coming into a situation where it's just not going your way, other things above, your pay grade are happening. And it just makes it disappointing. But for me, I just try to look at the best the best side that came out for me, as far as what I took from it, what I learned from that experience.
And right below you in the guide is one Norman Terrence Sinclair Rowe, who I know is not watching because it is way late there in the UK, but he would also wind up as your teammate in Indianapolis. What was Terry like as a teammate to a young player like yourself, trying to figure out the pro game and how to be a professional?
Nah, Terry was great, man. He led by example. Didn't say much, but what he said was very valuable and
If
important.
you could understand him, and we love Terry, but John
Right.
Kluber said, "Tell I've spent 2 years playing with you, and I've never understood a word you
You
said."
know, you got to slow it down in your
A
mind.
little bit.
But Terry, he was great, man. It was just great to see how he worked, how he prepared, how he practiced. So that just helped me a lot going forward, especially when we got to the Twisters, and the coaching was a little more stable and rigid.
Yeah,
So
we'll get to that.
yeah,
Now, you mentioned this guy too, Superman, Andy Chapman,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
a legend of the indoor game, one of the greatest ever. He was 35 at this point, but he could still bring it, and he
Uh,
really used to bring it against the Twisters. What was it like to play with this guy, Superman?
No, it was great learning from him, just watching how he processed the game, and then just going through practices, really working on what we tried to do as a team. It was awesome. It was a good time. I think we had a better time outside of soccer there, but it was a good time.
Part of that, which we'll get to, is the team was owned by Palace Sports and Entertainment and Bill Davidson, who also owned the Detroit Pistons of the NBA. There were several NBA owners in the CISL at startup, and that meant you got one of the great perks ever for an indoor team, flying on the Pistons team plane round ball one. I think this is the second generation round ball one.
Yeah.
I think we're looking at here, but a private jet's a private jet, man. How
Oh,
cool is this thing? Just having something other indoor teams could only dream about when they're flying commercial and making a couple of stops.
oh, that was awesome. That was the best. I just remember the first time pulling up to the airport. It's like we had to go through some side gate, walk up to the plane, and just be able to sit there and just know like who is here. One of Hartford's finest, Rick Mahorn, used to ride this plane. Bill Lambier, yeah. So it was great. It was a great experience being able to ride on that plane, use the locker room, everything. We got to go to parties with the Pistons. They got invited to a lot of their parties. Grant Hill was there.
It was a
Lot-
little after the Bad Boys era, but there were
yeah,
still, like you said, guys like Mahorn who must have been fun.
yeah, yeah, absolutely.
And also it must have really helped competitively because, although the record didn't show it, but you could play a road game, you could leave the arena, get on a plane, and go straight home,
Oh, yeah.
and be home in your own bed very shortly.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. It made traveling nice. We were spoiled.
And in a bit, we're going to contrast that with some of the Twisters travel arrangements, but this was certainly a big time perk. Now, you mentioned the Neon released you midway through the season. What did you figure was up with your career at this point? Were you intent on continuing to play?
Yeah. At that point, I was like, okay, I'll give it one more year, maybe 2 more years, just to see where it goes. So I had a couple tryouts. I went to Washington, and then I was ready. I was probably going to sign with Washington, the Warthogs, and then I got a call saying, "Hey, you're picked up in the supplemental draft by Indianapolis." I was like, "Great, I'll be there as soon as I can." So.
That's it. In April of 1996, the new CISL team, the Indianapolis Twisters, made you their first pick in the expansion draft ahead of Mariano Balelo, we should mention. And
Great.
here's where Notre Dame worked in your favor, because for those who don't know, the CISL wanted its teams to have local players, and they were kind of loose with the definition of local. But since you played in South Bend, they were able to count you as a local player. So that was good, along with Joel Shanker, who had played at Indiana University but ended up not signing. Mm-hmm. So you said, I'm there, go right there. And did you already know at that point that you had guys there, that Kluba was there, or that Terry was there, or were you just going, hey, this sounds great, let's just go?
No. The only person they told me was Terry. That's the only one I recall knowing who was there at the time. So yeah, but yeah, I was in. I was ready to go. Something new.
Speaking of which, we've got some other one of those guys who was there waiting for you was Rich Ryerson, who said, good. Okay, here's another question coming in. The cultural transition from Connecticut to Indiana.
Oh man. So yeah, that was tough. I think just it's a lot different. So being on the East Coast is a lot different than the Midwest. I think just being in Connecticut, we had access to Boston was closed. New York City, have a lot of family in New York, White Plains, Westchester County, going all the way down to North Carolina. So everything was easily accessible. The closest thing I think in Indiana was Chicago. And if, in college, if you didn't have a car, you weren't really going.
Right.
Going
Fort Wayne is like the biggest.
Yeah. And there wasn't much happening in South Bend at the time. So after football season was over, it was basically like a ghost town. So
right.
It was definitely a different world than where I grew up.
Oswaldo Monroy, a former guest on the show, chimes in as well. Hopes to see you soon. We have some other folks here. Ashton says hey.
Yes.
And Tawana says hey. So thank you all for watching, and anybody else watching still has a chance to chime in before the top of the hour. So here is the first Twisters team picture. You're there, first row on the right. You had those guys that you knew in the team, Terry Rowe, John Kluba, who'd been your roommate in Detroit. What did having those guys there mean to you?
Oh no, that was great. Whenever you go somewhere, someone, it's always makes it a little bit easier. But I think the guys that were coming in, like I knew George, like we had played against each other in college, right. So kind of on the periphery, we knew each other. But just coming in with those guys and just their personalities were just easy to get along with. So everyone, a lot of the guys didn't speak, or some of them didn't speak a lot of English. So I was like the sort of midway translator. So it was fun. It was fun.
This team came together from all over the place, and you had veterans, you had young players, you had local players, you had, as you mentioned, international players. What was that first training camp like, trying to kind of meld that into a team, but also a brand new team, a brand new experience, and a coach you had not played for before?
Yeah, so it's always you're always a little nervous when you come into a new situation, and just going in, you just want to compete, you want to show that you belong. That I had the skills to stay and contribute to the team, and to be able to stay there and do that was great. And I think just the way that Jorge was just honest about what we were trying to achieve and what he wanted from us, what he expected from us, even though at times it seemed like it wasn't achievable. He just made you believe that, hey, just keep going.
So that Jorge is there in all white on the right behind you. He had very set ideas that he was very firm on, and how you guys trained, what you ate, where you could go, what you could do, to say nothing of the style that he wanted you to play. Was that a hard transition for you, or did you? George Crawford said he embraced it because he'd played for Jerry Yeagley. Was it a hard transition for you to play for George?
Nah, I think it was I was okay with it. I like to think of myself as being very coachable. But it was the diet part was hard because I was a straight sweet tooth person. Skittles, candy, brownies, whatever I could get my hands on. And I remember one day we had like an appearance to do, so we showed up to dinner late, so nobody was there. It was like me, George, I was a couple other guys, and we're like, oh, nobody's here. We can get some brownies. We have some sweets on our plate. And so we're all sitting down eating. And then it was like all of a sudden Jorge just appeared at the table. We were like, oh.
I remember there was a buffet. There was a buffet
Yeah,
place that
yeah,
was a
yeah,
place that you guys ate a lot, and guys would put stuff on their plates, and Jorge would be waiting at the end of the line when you got
yeah,
there, right?
yeah.
Say, "No, no,
It's like,
no
no,
bread, no
don't do
bread, no."
that.
I just talked to Jorge last week, by the way. He's doing very well, and hopes to
Nice,
be with
nice.
us at the reunion as well. So that's great. So you get to the opener in Detroit,
Mhm.
coincidentally. Didn't go well. Your old team, the
Yeah.
Neon, beat the Twisters 8-2, but then you came back to Indianapolis, the first indoor game ever in Indianapolis at Market Square Arena. What was the anticipation like for you guys as you got ready for that very first home game? New team, you only get one inaugural game, and this was it.
Yeah, no, it was to me, it was fun. It was great just to see the energy from the crowd, from the city, just to be starting off new and have an opportunity to do something great. It was a lot of fun. It was a blast for me.
When game time finally came on June 21st, 1996, against the team you almost signed with, Washington Warthogs,
Yeah,
it was a typical first year Twister game. You guys played hard, played
yeah,
them close, ended up losing in overtime. What
yeah.
are your memories of the actual game and the crowd and the tight game and the evening?
Yeah, just coming out and being able to compete was fun. It was a heartbreaker because we couldn't hold on and get the W, get that first W. Um, but yeah, we had some great players, man. Mariano, my goodness. But yeah, the whole season, like you said, our season was sort of that was our theme. Like we would be competitive, but just couldn't get the win at the end. And a lot of those games was tough, but
So Washington ended up winning this one 7-6 in overtime. That's how the next couple of games went as well. Close losses to
Mhm.
Monterey and Sacramento. So it was three straight one-goal losses. But could you feel the team improving?
Oh yeah, yeah. I think we were just getting better every week, and like we always felt like we were right on the verge of just having that breakout, and just ran out of games, ran out of time.
And but you talk about breaking out, broke out in a big way on July 5th, first win in team history. Matt Blackburn scored here, but the star of the game was our friend Oswaldo Monroy, who scored four times. How did
Yeah.
it feel to finally get that first
Oh,
win
that
and get
was
the monkey
awesome.
off your backs?
That was the best feeling. Yeah, that was yeah. Just the way everything just came together. Ozzy's little flip roll was awesome, but yeah, it was a great feeling. Great to have that first one under your belt.
That was a big time win. 11-3 was the score of that one. So, how did the fans take to you guys? Here's a shot of you and George with a couple of Twisted fans. Admittedly, there were not enough of them, but some folks were really into it.
Yeah, yeah. I think the ones that showed up, they had great energy, and it's funny because I've met a couple people out here who I've had as patients who remember going to those games.
Really?
So yeah,
That's
they're
cool.
like, I'm from Indianapolis. I used to go. And I was like, oh, that's awesome. But yeah, the fans are great. I mean, we go do our appearances at certain places. Always had a good time talking to the kids, doing little camps. So it was good. We got good feedback, good energy from the fans.
You talk about having a sweet tooth. A little intel from Jeremy. Loved raspberry blow pops. That was your go-to right there.
Crazy. Yes, Jeremy.
Here, another question from Joseph Jenkins. As a midfielder, do you prefer to stay central, like to drift wide to create overloads in the wings? And your aunt and uncle say hi.
Hey, Auntie Uncles, John. Yeah, I like playing wide because I could try to get inside and score. The middle was crowded, but I just like being on the wing and just being able to take people on. And I think my strength on the outside too is just my defense. Like I was always put on the side of the strongest outside midfielder or winger that they had. So trying to shut them down as well.
So you're watching Let's Twist Again. And it was not long after this before things started to get weird for the
Mm.
Indianapolis Twisters. When we come back after this quick break, the league steps in, and later Beronie steps away. That's all coming up. You're watching Let's Twist Again.
2, 1.
Get your kicks with one of the fastest sports around, the Continental Indoor Soccer League. This game roars indoors with a combination of speed, finesse, and power. CISL Soccer. There is no other sport like this on earth.
So as summer took hold in Indianapolis in 1996, the Twisters' original owners were losing their grip on the franchise. I'm Ken Tomash. This is Let's Twist Again, and our guest tonight is Beronie Richardson. Thanks to all of you who have put questions and comments in the chat. You can continue to do that wherever you're watching or listening until the top of the hour. So Beronie, the expansion Twisters were competitive. The team was cohesive, learning to play together. The system was coming together. Everybody bought in. But off the field, things were not going so well, and we can't talk about this team without talking about it. It's unfortunate we have to. When did the players first get an inkling that maybe things were going to be a little bit problematic?
Yeah, I don't remember the exact time, but I just remember just sort of hearing the rumblings that, hey, the league might be taking over, what's going to happen. And then all of a sudden, that was it. The league stepped in, took over the team. We kind of, as players, we kind of kept it business as usual. We were just here to play. We just wanted to go play, and that was it. So yeah, it was unfortunate that those things were happening because, like I said, I felt like every week we felt like, hey, we're on the verge. We can turn this around and get a win and make it to the playoffs, that sort of thing. But that was just another sort of hindrance that hit us during that time.
So crowds like you saw there at MSA were happening far too often. Again, the team was competitive, still took some tough losses. I've asked everybody how you guys stayed focused, and it was some of that veteran leadership that really helped you when things started to go south, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So Terry, Rich, those guys have been around the league for a while, so they kind of knew of these things happening and guided us in how we needed to keep going forward, keep playing, keep practicing, keep preparing for the next game. So yeah, it was tough, but you kind of accepted it. Hey, this is part of the business. This happens, and not much I could do about it, but just go do my job and play.
So now to contrast the luxury of round ball one with what travel was like with the Twisters here towards the end, the game we just looked at were highlights against the Detroit Neon on a Thursday night in Indianapolis. And despite giving up the first 3 goals, you did win that one 9-8. But then the team left from the arena straight after that game, not in a bus, but in minivans, not 15 passenger vans either, like mom take you to practice minivans. I remember driving all night. I remember stopping at a Steak and Shake in Castleton on the northeast side of town, and then finally driving all night to Detroit, getting there early in the morning, playing that night, and almost beating them. That wasn't the norm, but that was, the CISL and indoor soccer and the MPSL, didn't matter where you were playing. These were just the kinds of things that as players, you rolled with it, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So like I said, at the time, we were young. Most of us were young,
right?
Just wanted to play. Didn't matter how we got there. As long as we got there, we were able to suit up. And that was a big that was a big difference from catching the round ball one and taking a little van.
Question here: do you remember your first professional goal? Can you set the stage from us from your cousin Trent? That would have been in Detroit, right? Because you did score a goal for the Neon. I haven't been able to find where it was or when, but let's see if you remember.
Who it was against. Yeah, I think it was off a rebound. Hey, cousin Trent. It was off a rebound. And I can't remember who it was against. It might have been against Houston. But yeah, I was playing defense at the time, but I just happened to come up, play, the ball bounced my way, one tap and tapped it in. So, but my most spectacular goal was, hey, most memorable goal was my last goal in my last. So I don't know if you remember that. It was against Monterey, down in Monterey.
Yeah.
And I still remember that. I got the ball on the left side, and I forget the name of the striker, but he was like all world striker for Monterey.
Marco Lopez, maybe they had a bunch of them.
Yeah,
they had Zizinho or one of those guys.
Yeah, it might have been Zizinho, but he thought I was gonna pass it back to the keeper, and I just chopped it inside and took a shot from way out and went in. And
well, way out. I mean, in that little gym, way out wasn't that far out. Remember that one, right?
Right.
Well, Mirko scored the game winner in that game to cap the season. And Terry had hurt his knee, and we were at a sports bar in Indianapolis. And for some reason, they were showing CISL scores. It was not something that you saw a lot of, but we saw that score come up, and we were like, "Wow, the guys actually went and won in Monterey," which was a huge way to.
Oh my goodness, yeah.
Season. Now, talk to me about your development as a player at that time, because you were coming into your own. Jorge put you in the starting lineup midway through the season. You ended up leading the team with 39 block shots. How did you feel about how you were developing as a player as the season went on?
Yeah, no, I felt like it was great. Like I was learning. I was in the best shape of my life just under Jorge's regimen, diet, exercise. I felt like I could run all day. And then, yeah, on defense, I mean, we had a great defense. Rich, George, Mate, we were strong back there. And yeah, I felt like I was getting better every day. That was the key. I felt like I could do a couple more years in this league. And yeah, those are some great videos. I like that.
Wear and tear, though, obviously in the indoor game, but we have a question from Jervis now. Is there a valuable life lesson you learned from those years playing professionally?
Oh yeah, I think the biggest thing is that compares to life is that, things don't always go your way. You keep working hard. You keep, stay positive. The same thing goes in life. Nothing's guaranteed. You just keep working. You keep trying to do your best. When things work out, celebrate. Sometimes they don't work out. Okay, how can I fix this? How can I get better? What can I do better the next time? So those are just some of the things the game has taught me throughout my life.
This is the game in question where you guys were super competitive. It was a 3-3 game late. This was after the all-night drive in the minivans, and then Drago got one at the end, ended up winning. Detroit was a better team in 96 than they had been in 95 and 97. They were not very good at all. But this was one of those life lessons in that just keep grinding and keep grinding because there was very little rest for the weary at that point. All right. So then you said you still would have liked to have played. You said you still, felt you were in the best shape of your life. But at the end of that month that we were just watched there in August, the original owners walked away. The team was taken over by the league for that final month. When it was an abstraction of, we hear that things aren't going so great, let's just keep our heads down. But then it became a reality. That last month, the team played really hard. You only had one home game, but you won 2 of the last 3 on the road, including that Monterey game that we talked about. It had to have been pretty chaotic that last month, being wards of the league.
Yeah, it was a little crazy because there was no guarantee about what was going to happen next season. So I think everybody was looking to see, hey, what can we do next, or what's the next step? And it was hey, we're going to come back. We had the new owners coming in for next year. I think they were already set up by that time.
Yep.
And I was like, okay, great. So in the meantime, I was going to play in the NPSL. In Columbus. I think George talked about this when he went out there. And so it was all great. So I went out there with George. We were together. We all stayed in this little 1-bedroom apartment, like 10 guys, and practice every day.
Wait, 10 guys in a 1-bedroom apartment?
It was a lot of us. We were like sleeping on the floor, the couch, trying to see who would get the couch at night. And it was crazy. So I was waiting, being there, practicing. They were ready to sign me. They just needed the release from the CISL. So every game I'd be waiting, ready to suit up. Did you get the paper? Nope. Did you get the release? And this went on for probably like 4 weeks.
Wow.
And then eventually I was like, hey, this is enough. So I went home.
So is that where it came a point where you decided this is not where I'm meant to be? What was your thought process then that led to your career change?
Yeah. At that point, I think it was just like, okay, maybe this is a sign. I just need to start focusing on my ultimate goals of going into medicine. So
with everything that it takes to go from a 6-year-old kicking a ball to a 14-year-old determining that this is the sport for you, to play college, to play professionally, you decided to pursue something that could take even longer to do and be
Right.
exponentially harder. Why did you choose medicine, and where did that first hit
Yeah.
your mind? You talked about your ultimate goal. How long had it been your ultimate goal?
Yeah. Just coming up in school, I was always good at science and math, so it just came
You
sort of
majored
easy.
in math at Notre
Yeah,
Dame.
and so yeah, I kind of always had that in the back of my mind, like, hey, this is great. I could go be a doctor and really help people and do some fun stuff. So it was always there. And then when I broke my leg, and then I eventually came back to Connecticut, my orthopedic surgeon was awesome. Like he fixed my leg basically. But then whenever I would come home for breaks, he would let me come into the OR with him and watch surgeries and talk to me about medicine. So I was like, okay, this is cool. So initially I wanted to be an orthopedic surgeon. So that was the thought at the time. And yeah, he was just instrumental in guiding me and helping me see, okay, this is the path I want to go in eventually. So
One of those things where people come into your lives at exactly the right time. Here's the doctor is in now. What gives you the most satisfaction about practicing medicine and your family practice? So you see a lot of different things.
Yeah. So I see from kids, babies, up to geriatrics, do minor procedures. So just going into family medicine just allowed me to do a little bit of everything. So that's what I like. I like the surgical aspect of medicine, but also like speaking to people and really trying to help people with everyday issues with health and their lives. So that's why I went into family medicine. And I think that's the biggest thing, just being able to connect with people, being able to just help them, which was my goal, to help people. But at the same time, you learn so much from your patients when they're going through stuff and seeing how they handle things and how maybe I could do something a little different. And then we sort of have that dialogue on what they can do to improve their health. So it's kind of a give and take.
And your story is inspirational to at least one of our viewers and probably
Cheers,
several of them.
Hey, cheers.
Follow your dreams. So contrast that with what is the biggest challenge with being a physician in the United States of America in 2026?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is just how it's been taken over by people who don't practice medicine. So now it's a lot more focused on the metrics, making money, meeting the metrics, making sure you click this, making sure you talk about this. A lot of more paperwork, and especially with electronic records. So when I first started, it was just writing in a chart. So you just had to make sure you had all your info in the chart. But now you have to click, everything sort of tracked. And it just makes it difficult for a lot of people because you want to meet your targets. A lot of physicians get burned out when they, more things are added to our plate. So that's the toughest part, just trying not to get burned out and really stay focused on why you're doing this and what medicine is about.
So the digital aspect makes storage easier and retrieval easier and long-term, look at a patient's health. But on the front end, it's a little bit harder because you're clicking a lot of boxes and making a lot of things like that and getting in the way. We're used to, at least you don't need great handwriting.
Right.
So you're a doctor, but you're also a husband and a father. Tell us about your family, who we see here being attacked by a giant hummingbird.
That's in Vegas. That's
Oh,
at the Bellagio, I believe.
that makes sense.
Yeah. So we'll see you guys there. But yeah, that's my wife, Thibia. She's a smarter doctor than I am. She's a PhD. So she does research, public health research, out here in Los Angeles. The next person is my youngest son, Elijah. He's a freshman at Notre Dame High School out here in LA in Sherman Oaks. And my oldest son, Isaiah, is a junior at LMU University.
Loyola Marymount, right?
Loyola Marymount.
Nice.
Yeah.
And you were telling me earlier, one son played soccer, but basketball was more his calling, or
Yeah, they both played when they were younger. So yeah, they were good. I didn't want to push them.
right.
So I did, I let them try to figure out their own passions and what they wanted to do. So my oldest son loved basketball. So he was good. He has the hops. He had a nice shot. Just didn't get the height. I just didn't give him the gene for the height. That was it.
You had those long legs. Yeah, Rick Ryerson knew that was the Bellagio right away. Rich, you lived in Vegas for many years until just recently moved back to Maryland, but he would recognize anything in Vegas. Another quick question: do you see a return to independent doctors, or is it too late for that?
No, it's not too late. So absolutely. I'm actually joining it's called a direct primary care practice in March. And it's more of a membership practice where you get more time with your patients. There's not these overlooking people out there who are trying to tell you what to meet. So you usually get like an hour with your patients. You really get to know them. You have a smaller patient panel. So going from a 2,700 patient panel where you don't really know a lot of them to down to like a 500 or 600 patient panel, just makes it a lot better, I think, health wise for the patients and for the physicians, where you're not working as hard or as crazy, but you're really able to focus on each patient and give them that special attention.
More quality time as opposed to
Absolutely, absolutely.
kind of an assembly line. All right. Now we come to the part of the show where our guests share one crazy story from their career. I already took the minivan story, so you're going to have to top that one. Give us one crazy story because of your dual careers. It could be from soccer or from medicine, but we don't want to violate HIPAA or anything here. So give us one crazy story.
Oh man, yeah, I left right before the van flipped over with George.
That was George's
I think
story.
we were in I don't know if we were in Harrisburg. It might have been a little bit after that, but I left Harrisburg and went straight back to Connecticut. After that, they didn't let me play, so I missed that one. But yeah, crazy story. I mean, I got a bunch of them. ER stories. I've had when I was training in New York City. I was working in the ER, and one of the patients just ripped everything off and just ran straight out the door, running down the street in New York City. The resident is telling me, "Come on, we got to go catch him. We got to go catch him." And I'm like, "Ah, man, I don't want to put on my running shoes tonight." But luckily, there was a guard that caught him right down the block, so I didn't have to go run too far.
Probably the only pro soccer player who has that as a story for sure. Another quick question. And since you're a smart guy, what are your views on the use of AI in medicine, artificial intelligence in the practice of medicine?
Yeah, no, great question. I think it's inevitable. I think it's coming. It's already here for the most part. I think the key is, the human factor in medicine can't be replaced.
Mhm.
They can try to have AI doctors do certain things, but I think there's other elements and things that only a human can do. When it comes to gathering information, it's great. It can, go through a chart, pick out the pertinent things you need to find, the pertinent data, labs, that sort of thing. I think it's great. Interpreting them, I still have some hesitation relying totally on AI to interpret
Yeah,
some of the things, because there's
good
certain
move.
nuances you're looking at. But it's here. I think it's gonna keep growing.
No one has asked the one question I expected to get, which is, does this look infected to you? If you want that, you're going to have to book an appointment
All
with
right.
Dr. Richardson, because we're not doing telemedicine here tonight. We're just talking about soccer and other things. All right, so we'll get you out of here on this. Beronie, this is the 1996 Twisters. This is the team picture from that final home game against Monterey in 96. A little different from the first picture we looked at. Some new faces are here. Monty's here. He wasn't in the original one.
Yep.
Some guys had departed. Mirko's here. He'd come on at the end.
Mhm.
So what sticks with you after 30 years about this team that made you say, oh, yeah, I'll come on the show and talk about a team I played for one summer and 30 years ago?
Yeah, yeah. Like I said, I think it's really just the camaraderie, the brotherhood, working hard together every day, eating, basically living together, and just having certain experiences in life as young men. And it was just a great time, a great group of people, from the coaches, staff, Chad, the trainer. Everybody was real good people, and I think everybody had a great heart, and I think that's why we still sort of keep in touch through this way, and I'm looking forward to doing the reunion.
Yeah, it's gonna be great. One of the greatest things about doing this show is that the chance to reconnect. And I've kept in touch with some folks over the years, but there's keep in touch, and then there's getting a chance to sit down for an hour like we've done tonight and really find out just so much interesting so many interesting stories that people have of what's happened to them in the last 30 years. Yours is very interesting. Guys have been in coaching. Guys have had, I mean, Monty Reeves is in education. Obviously, he's a dean of students at a middle school in San Antonio. Where people have kids. People have gone through life stuff. It's just been really, really interesting to see this and getting us all back together for a 30 reunion. Sounds like it'd be real great.
Absolutely.
Dr. Beronie Richardson, it has been a pleasure having you on the show. Thanks to all of the people who have watched and chimed in tonight. And thanks so much for taking the time to reminisce with us. We'll see you at the reunion in the fall.
All right. Thanks, Ken. Appreciate it.
All right. Great. That's Beronie Richardson. Now, our next episode will give you a great inside look at how the Twisters franchise was born and how it got from an idea to a fully formed team with an identity and marketing and community outreach and all that stuff. That was all largely due to our next guest, Matt Dockstader. You may not know his name, you may not recognize the face, but you know his work. He knows what went on to get this team off the ground. He's going to dish on how the team was named, how it got its original look, and the deal with Hollywood to tie into the movie that you may remember from 1996 as well. That is all on episode 10, Thursday night, March 26th, and that date is significant as well. We will reveal that then. So I want to thank all of you who have interacted with this little show. I really appreciate it over the last 9 months. Most podcasts never get this far, and it's because of you that we have. Remember, the Twisters Facebook page is a great way to keep up on everything and keep the memories alive. If you are watching this on Facebook right now, as many of you are, including Oswaldo Monroy, Mariano Bolela, welcome, amigos. You're already there. So if you're not there, if you're not watching there, go to the Twisters Facebook page. You'll be able to find it with a quick search. Remember also, every radio broadcast that still exists is on my website at kenn.com. Email us at twisters@ken.com. Let us know what you think. If you got any suggestions for future shows. That is it for now. Thanks for watching. Good night. We'll see you next time.